Hello, Madonna. Welcome in. Hi, hi, hi. How is everybody? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. If you have never been to our Thursday night Bible study before, thank you for coming in. We get together on Thursday nights. We've been going through Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Meyer. We're currently on chapter 13, and tonight we'll be talking about the workbook questions for a judgmental, critical, and suspicious mind. I'm going to do a really quick share, guys. I always try to share in my messenger so that I can make sure people who usually come get... You're waiting out a storm. Oh, Becca, I'm so sorry. I hate that. I do not like to hear that. We have had quite a few storms in our area already this year. We're in Texas. And so I promise you, I totally get it. You need the rain, but not all at once. We've had a lot of rain. I joke about living in the swamp of Texas because we kind of do. So, if you have not read the book Battlefield of the Mind, I don't really treat this like a chapter for chapter study. We do go through it in the order of the chapters, but we kind of talk about each independent subject on its own. It helps if you're doing the workbook with us, but ultimately we just get together and we talk about the questions in the workbook. For chapter 13, let me tag a couple more that I know are doing this study. If you're doing this study and you have been, then you will kind of know where we're at. But the last time we were together, which has been a little bit, I don't always make it, guys. But the last time we were together, we talked about an anxious or worried mind. We talked about how we could avoid having an anxious and worried mind and what we could do to keep from it and why God didn't want us to have an anxious and worried mind. So, the next step in our addressing things that happen along with our mind is to talk about a judgmental, critical, and suspicious mind. So these are big hindrances when you're dealing with life, basically. When you're going through and you're dealing with things that I know, and we're all so guilty, and it's like this is one that just it's like something we've all done, right? It's just one that we can all like relate to. So our first question in our book this week says, have we found ourselves worrying less since we talked last week? Or should have been last week, but last time we met, since we talked about being anxious, have you found that it worked? I don't know if anyone's here that was here. Hi, Marty. But if you were here and you did go through that, then I would love to know if you found yourself able to be less anxious. I will say that I think the devil has really gotten at me, or the enemy. I don't like to say the devil because I don't like to blame everything on the devil, but I really think the enemy's really gotten at me lately about an anxiousness. I've had a little bit of backlash about this particular study, and like I have a whole life. I have a 40-hour-a-week job, and I have another job that it's actually kind of a 40-hour-a-week job too. And so I do that job and another job, and I also do whatnot. And then I have a whole life. I'm a mom and a wife and all the things. And sometimes I don't make it here on Thursdays. And I think that has been perceived as not good. It's been met with some anger and hostility. And so that made me a little anxious today to come on. So, so it's interesting that that would happen right as we're talking kind of about all this. Hello, Miss Cheryl. How are you? It's good to see you, my friend. If you're not following Cheryl's Crafty World and Marty Robin, y'all give them a follow. They're great people, great sellers here. So it's interesting that we would be talking about all these things and that, they would kind of show up at the same time. But isn't that how it works, right? So as we start to talk about a judgmental and critical, suspicious mind this week, I would like to first just open with prayer and ask God to take over and be with us. So Father God, thank you so much for an opportunity to speak on your behalf, Lord. Thank you for a chance to share thoughts and feelings and emotions and give people a platform, a safe space, Lord. Let everything that comes from my mouth be of you, Lord. If it's not from you, let it fall from my mouth to the floor and not be heard. God, help me to do a good job in a short time. And Lord, let everything you need done in this study to happen. In Jesus' name, amen. So, chapter 13 of Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Meyer addresses a judgmental, critical, and suspicious mind. It tells us the first thing it wants us to do is to read Matthew 7:1. And 7:1 says, "Do not judge others, and you will not be judged." That seems pretty straightforward, right? Like, do not judge others, and you will not be judged. What does it mean to judge others? So my answer to that is to highlight their wrongs without empathy or compassion. I think it's okay to say to someone, "Hey, I'm worried about your walk," if they've given you permission to speak into their life that way. I want to be very clear about that. If someone has not given you permission to speak into their life in that direction, then you're just being critical. And that may not, that's not nice. So just be forewarned that holding that position in someone's life is to whom much is given, much is required. So just know that if you're highlighting people's wrongs without empathy and compassion, hello, Z. Allie, welcome in. That I feel like that is where actual judgment starts to happen for me. Because the reality is, like, we all mess up. We all have something that could be pointed out, right? Like, I don't get through every single day doing nothing that could be pointed out and wrong. So, why is judging others wrong? This is a really important caveat. And I think it gets lost. I think people who are judgy don't understand that they're doing this. And so it's really important that when you start thinking about being judgmental, that you train your brain to root back to this concept. Because yes, you are removing humility. But when you remove humility, what you do is you take yourself and you elevate yourself to the status of God. And you say, I have the right to look at what you're doing and pass judgment. So if you elevate yourself to God's position and you put yourself in a high and lofty place to pass judgment, then you remove all humility from your life, right? Then you're above reproach. And if we're all fully self-aware and honest, none of us are in that position. I don't know one single human being who can say they're there. No one has made it. No one has arrived. The greatest pastors on earth haven't yet arrived. There are no special children of God. That's the reality here. We are all the same level, working to get to the same place, putting our best foot forward, showing the love of Christ through our daily lives and our walk. So, if that's the case, then when we step into the role of passing judgment, what we're actually doing is elevating ourselves to a high and lofty place. And if that sounds like, if I say to you, elevate yourself to a high and lofty place and just make yourself like God and you say, "Oh, you're a crazy girl. You don't do that. I would never do that. Oh, I never." If you can say that, then I never ever want to hear you pass judgment on someone else. Because you don't right now, most people in their brain do not connect those two things together. So if you take nothing else from today, take this: judgment and putting yourself on the equal playing field of God are the same thing. And that is what you're doing when you pass judgment. So just know that if you are, when you look at someone's walk and you say, they really ought to be tithing. Well, that dress she wore last week on the platform was awful short. Well, I don't know, but did you see her post on Facebook? Because Friday night, I'm pretty sure she was drinking margaritas. When you have all these feelings and these emotions about others and you place yourself in those spots, what you don't understand is that you're bringing yourself up and saying, I am in a position, I'm in a place in my walk where I'm so good that I can say, here's what you're doing wrong. And I'll tell you straight up, I have been in a position in people's lives in the last 15 years where I was given permission to direct their walk, where someone would say to me, hey, I need you to really speak into my walk and tell me when you see something and really help me and dig in every day. And I took that position very seriously because it wasn't just in those times that they strayed. It was in those small moments of victory that I celebrated with them. It was in those times of despair that I sat in those moments of scary with them and prayed with them, because that's all part of it. So be careful what you say you're going to do. Be careful when you sign up to pastor somebody and you judge how they walk. And maybe you're just kind of naturally judgy. You're just kind of opinionated. I'll tell you the truth. I grew up in a family where it was permissible, where if a woman was a bad mother, you could point that out and it was okay. We're like, if she didn't make good decisions about her kids, it was okay to be like, well, she ain't doing what she's supposed to with them kids. Like, it was okay. And so it kind of gave you this false sense of reality that this action that was really doing something really harmful to your walk with God, that it was okay for you to do that. So just be aware. Think about that. The next thing it says is to describe a time when you felt really judged by someone. So I would say the town that I grew up in was a small town. And we were kind of poor. And so I kind of always felt judged, like, because we were the poor kids. And so it was kind of like, they were always kind of judgy towards us. So I would say I would probably, it's probably easier to come back to a time when I didn't feel judged more than that I did. Then it says to describe a time when you judge someone else. Well, just like I said, for most of my life, I came from a culture of acceptable judgments. I was taught that when things looked different than the way that our family did them, they were wrong. In our family, men drank, women didn't. Women went to church, but men didn't. Men had jobs, but women didn't. There were just little things about our family cultures that if other families did it different, then they were wrong. And so when I think about those things and I think, hello, Tina, when I think about those things and I think about how kind of growing up, I was taught that if it looked different than the way we did it, it was okay to assume that the way they did it was incorrect, that it was somehow them doing it wrong, that a woman who desired education and employment probably wasn't able to find a husband. Like, that's how twisted. Okay. So what can you learn from being judged and from judging someone else? I think you learn humility. I think when you truly understand what judging does to you and your walk, and what you judging does to someone else's walk, you learn what humility really is. You learn that most of the time it's not people that hurt you, it's your own expectations of people that hurt you. You learn that feeling overwhelmed with pride can cause you to be real stupid. That thinking you know what you know, what you know, what you know, can sometimes get you into a real big mess. Because sometimes what you thought you knew, what you knew, what you knew, what you knew, you didn't actually know. So it's really important to remember that you've never arrived. You never know it all. You can always learn something new. God says there's nothing new under the sun because he's the one who knows it all. Not because we do. Not because there's one person on the earth who knows it all. He says that because there is not anything we can bring to him that he's not already aware of. There's not some remarkable concept that you can come up with that somebody else hadn't thought of. So it's really important for you to remember that you have the capability, you possess the ability to show empathy, kindness, and understanding, and leave the judging to Jesus. Because this is the part that gets you messed up. Most of the time, we start out judging from a good place, not a malicious place. We start out judging because we're worried. We think we can help. We're a fixer. Okay? And this is me thinking the best of people. Because some people are just rotten, right? They're just nasty. They're mean and they're just being ugly. But for most of us, we start out going, well, I bet if she knew what I knew, or he knew what I knew. So the thing that's like of the utmost importance to remember is that you can't fix it anyway. And that you were never designed to fix it. It's not your job to fix it. And if something needs fixing, Jesus fixes it, not you. So if you'll just let him identify the problem and correct it, what he has asked you to do is just show up and love people. That's it. If you'll do that part, he'll do all the rest. But if you are busy trying to do his job, there ain't nobody to do yours. And I know this is going to this might make y'all mad. Y'all might never come back to my Bible study, but that's okay. I'll take that chance because you need to know this. And this is going to stun you. He don't need your help. Not a single bit of your help. He don't need your help at all. He's fully capable of fixing anything that needs done. So when you start getting involved and trying to help him do his job, well, it kind of muddies the water because then there's nobody doing your job. So what I endeavor to do is my job. And oh man, sometimes I don't do a good job. That's why you hear me every week when I start this Bible study say, Lord, help me do a good job in a short time. Because I do not, for one, I don't want to be long-winded. And for two, I do not want to do a bad job. I want to do a good job. And I want to do my job, not his. So, our Bibles tell us that God is the only one who has the right to condemn or sentence. Therefore, when we pass judgment on another, we are, in a certain sense, setting ourselves up as God in this life. It tells us to read Romans 12 and 23. And I think I actually have everything marked tonight. Romans 12 and 3, not 23, 12, 3. Because of the privilege and authority God has given me, I give each of you this warning. Do not think you are better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourselves by the faith God has given us. So, judgment and criticism are evidence of what deeper problem? What deeper problem would be evident if you are a judgmental critic? Hydrate. Pride. You said it, honey, and it's right there in the heart, Marty. You got it. Pride sitting on your heart. Because with pride, you elevate yourself to God. What is the only reason that we're able to excel in any area of our life? If you are exceptional or you excel in any area, why do you excel? That's right. Because of God's gifts given to you. Grace. That's right. Because he gives it to us. So you cannot take credit for what he does. Do y'all know? Can I ask y'all, please don't plagiarize Jesus this week. Don't take credit for what he's doing. Give him credit. Because I promise you, if I grade your paper and you have plagiarized the Savior, I am going to tell you. No, I'm not, because that'd be judgy. But you see what I mean? Like, we cannot take credit for what he's doing. And so often, it's easy. It's easy to be like, there are going to be worldly people in your life who look at you and go, look how far you've come. You have been through so much and you are such a survivor. People do this to me all the time. It is so important to make sure that you grab hold of the vernacular of always responding with, let me tell you who really did the hard work. Because the truth is, I didn't really have to do much. Jesus showed up and he did the heavy lifting. And boy, if you've got a minute, I can tell you some stuff he did. And it just changes the conversation. When you are willing, when you change how you think about life, and you realize that nothing you could ever do would get you to where you are, it will change the way that your life flows. It will change the things coming into your life. It will change the things coming out of you. It will change the things you do in other people's lives. How can remembering the reason that you're able to excel keep you from judging somebody else? If you don't think you did it, and you know he did it, and you're not taking credit for it, then you can't be Miss Big Britches and act like you're better at it, right? So I can't get mad at you for not knowing how to do it if I know that God did it for me. It humbles you. It keeps you remembering that you're not God. None of us have the power and capability that God has. None of us have the ability to do in others what God can do if we will just do our part of the equation. It tells us to read Galatians 6 and 13. 6 and 13 says, and even those who advocate, is this the right? I'm sorry, 6, 1 through 3. My eyes cannot see today. Dear brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, you who are godly should gently and humbly help that person back onto the right path. And be careful not to fall into the same temptation yourself. Share each other's burdens, and in this way obey the law of Christ. If you think you are too important to help someone, you are only fooling yourself. You're not that important. Okay? This is like, listen, this is like a clapback. If you have never read some of the more pointed sections of the Bible, these will take you by surprise. Okay? Because he said, hey, by the way, you are not too good to help anybody. So quit acting like that girl who is standing on the corner up there at the red light asking for money because she's 6 feet deep in addiction and trying to claw her way out. Don't have a right to eat today. Because she might take your dollar and buy a can of beer with it. Uh-oh, did I step on somebody's pride for a minute there? Because I'm going to tell you something. It will test you. Because he said you have to gently and humbly show them love and tell them they should be on the right path. I'm telling you right now, folks, this right here, this is real easy to mess up. It's real easy. That's right. And here's the thing. Here's the big part. It's real easy to feel too important. It is real easy to feel like I can't contribute to that. I don't want to be a part of this. Well, they could have a job if they wanted one. Guys, I'm telling you, the enemy will give you a lot of ammunition, and the enemy will build your pride up, and he will help you with those high and lofty thoughts. And I want you to know that there ain't but about 5 degrees separation between you and the local homeless person. And that's the honest to God's truth. There's about 5 degrees separation scientifically between you and someone in a dramatically different position than yourself. Someone 10 feet deep in addiction and you who have your life together and you're working every day and you're doing a good job and not addicted to a substance, there is 5 degrees of separation scientifically between you and them. That is how easy it is for your life to flip. That's how easy it is as a human being to give in to temptation, to over purchase. When I started on Whatnot, y'all, I'm lucky I didn't get addicted. I didn't get addicted to, like, evicted, and like addicted to Whatnot and then evicted, because it was hard. It was hard. I was over purchasing on Whatnot to an extreme that it was like, I mean, it was really bad. Really bad. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was horrible. So when I tell you that it's real easy, even people who you're like, they probably have it really together. Not always. So just know 5 degrees separation between you and a really bad situation. According to this scripture, what mental attitude are we supposed to maintain within ourselves? Galatians 6:1-3. Gentle, humility, and kindness. If we can love them, then they can love. So if you can show someone love, that will help teach them the ability to love. That's my reseology. That's how I handle life and people. Romans 14:4 says, who are you to condemn someone else's servants? Their own master will judge whether they stand or fall, and with the Lord's help, they will stand and receive his approval. How can God help us with our weaknesses? Who should show us our weaknesses? Right. Discernment should show us our weakness. God should point out. You should feel strongly about things because God is working on the inside of you. Because you have a personal relationship with him and he can speak to you. He can influence you. That's how you know, right? Because if you don't have that personal connection, that relationship with him, then it's important to develop that, to establish that so that he can work things in you. He can mold and make you into what he can use you. He wants to use you for his kingdom. Well, he can do that if you'll allow him to mold and make you. Is it wrong to have a mental opinion of somebody? My answer to this is no. It's wrong to move from having a feeling to judging them instead of having compassion. When you look at someone else's life and you feel concern, it's not wrong to be concerned. It's wrong for that concern to make you feel high and lofty. Like, oh, can you believe that? It should be like, oh my gosh, I wonder if there's anything I could do to help. That it should spur compassion in you, not pride. When you hear of someone really going through a tough time, what does it make you think of? Pride or compassion? That's the thing. How can the action of criticism and judging be changed? What is something you can do that will help you if you have a tendency to criticize? What is something you can do? I always wonder if I give long enough. Think before you speak. Make yourself ask how you could help. Exactly. I think you can do a self-inventory. When I look at a situation, the very first thing I do, keep it to yourself. That's a good one, Nicole. That's exactly right. When I look at a situation and I see something that I think, man, that's really bad. The very first thing I do is I try to take a self-inventory of, someone probably could have said that about me at this time of life or that time of life. And what it tends to do for me is it tends to keep me from elevating myself to being above that action. Like, I've never been in active addiction. I've never had an addiction or had an issue with addiction, drugs. So that one's like always for me. When I see someone struggling in drug or alcohol addiction, I always think to myself, gosh, I am so grateful that I didn't take that path because I really could have. I had a lot of reasons to, right? But I'm so grateful to God that didn't happen, right? And I always try to think of it that way and not I'm so glad I was smart enough not to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about perspective and understanding that if you will just frame things from a state of compassion, having a soft heart. And I'll be honest, guys, if you have been through a lot of trauma and you've dealt with a lot of things, sometimes being soft-hearted is really difficult. But that is something, in my opinion, in my long years in ministry, I will tell you that my honest opinion is that if you struggle with soft-heartedness and compassion, you need to spend some time alone with Jesus in prayer. Nothing can fix a hard heart but Jesus, worship, and prayer. That's it. That is the only thing I have ever seen fix a hard heart is worship, prayer, and alone time with God. Because I'm telling you right now, what Jesus can do, the way that he can tenderize you and change who you are and break down those defenses. Because the truth is, hard heart is really just a defense mechanism. It's to keep you from being hurt, which I get. I get it. I don't know why I don't have those anymore. Probably just by the grace of God, because I should, based on the stuff I went through. But yeah, if you struggle with that, and I don't know why I feel so compelled to say that, but if that's something you're dealing with, anyway, yeah. So if you find yourself very judgmental, very criticizing, take a self-inventory. Ask yourself, could someone have said this about me at some time in my life? Or did I ever exhibit behavior that could have been misconstrued this way? Or as Nicole says, keep it to yourself. As Allie said, make yourself ask how you could help. Or think before you speak. Just take a minute. Think about it. Read Matthew 7, 1 through 2 and Galatians 6, 7. 6. Okay. Oh, I didn't even notice that when I was marking scriptures. Matthew 7, 1 and 2. Do not judge others, and you will not be judged, for you will be treated as you treat others. The standard you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged. That makes it a little different, right? Does that make you want to judge it a little differently? You're like, for me, that little second verse, for you will be treated as you treat others, and the standard you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged. I mean, if for no other reason, that might be a good reason to kind of tweak the judging a little, right? Like, because goodness me, I have not always been perfect. So I definitely want to be met with compassion when it's my turn. Mm-hmm. Galatians 6, verse 7. I feel like I did that time. Don't be misled. You cannot mock the justice of God. You will always harvest what you plant. Mm-hmm. How does the principle, this is a good one. I'm gonna work real hard not to get worked up. Mm-hmm. How does the principle of sowing and reaping apply to our thoughts? I'm going to ask you a question, and I just want everybody to answer the question. How do you feel about rain? Thank you, for answering, Allie. How do you feel about rain? What happens when it rains for you? How does it make you feel? Okay. Flowers grow and people can't drive. Depends on the previous weather. It creates growth. So you can learn a lot about someone. It makes you have to step carefully. That's a good one, Grandma Chris. I like that.
Yeah,
you can learn a lot about someone by how they feel about rain. Here's why. Rain only matters to people who have seeds in the ground. If that don't give you goosies and make you want to shout, Lord, listen. When you have seeds in the ground, you are praying for rain. So if you are working towards growing, if you are using your mouth to precipitate growth, if you are pushing out life and you want it to grow, then you look forward to the rain. Because let me tell you something, when that rain starts to fall, you know that the seeds are getting what they need to come up out of that ground and grow. You can open the door to the devil when you judge. It's real important to remember that every single thing that you do that is directly against the way God wants us to live gives the enemy an ability to creep in. The devil does not come into your life in a little red suit with a tail and the horns and a little pitchfork. That is not how he looks. No, I think bullies are hurt people who hurt people. I think bullies almost 80% of the time are hurt people who are hurting people. But I think that met with compassion, and I say this hesitantly because there are moments that if you meet a bully with a compassion or with compassion, that it can be dangerous for you, right? Like you have to protect yourself. But I think that most of the time a bully is a hurt person who can only continue by hurting others. What I don't understand is if they feel hurt, why would they want others to feel that hurt? Because they can't acknowledge their hurt. When someone's hurt, if they acknowledge it as hurt, then they look weak. And when the most important thing to them is surviving, they can't look weak. No part of them is able to look weak. And so their entire survival rests upon them being this indelible figure that's unpenetrable. They're not able to be taken out or ripped down or beaten, or you know what I'm saying? Like they're the best, the biggest, the highest, the most. And if they admit to being hurt, then for one moment they weren't. And they had a weakness. And so they can't admit to being hurt. But the truth is, what's below that is that someone deeply scarred them in some way. So it's a delicate balance. You have to look at situations with a bully, in my opinion. The best thing you can do is to isolate yourself, limit contact as much as possible. If you can't address the issue, if you can't say, hey, whoever you are, I feel like you're bullying me and I don't feel comfortable. I would like for us to work on this. If that's not an option, then you just have to not have contact, because sometimes there's no way to deal with it. Yeah. It's just and you pray for them, right? Like you pray about them, you give it to God in that way. You say, and if it's someone like close to you, you give it to God and say, God, I long for this relationship. That was difficult in high school, but I have long left. Yeah, I would agree. And here's the thing. I was fat in high school. I had a fair amount of bullies myself. I mean, I was the same size I am now, so I was fat. And kids were not nice. You know what I mean? Like not nice. And one of the really not nice kids married my cousin, which was even worse, right? Like then he was at my family reunions. So yeah, so I get it, right? Like I get it that there are just times there are people who are just really horrible. But the truth be told, teachers lose crap. Yeah, it was not a thing in the 90s. They didn't care. This guy would like make beeping noises when I walked by, like a truck backing up. Like he thought that was so funny. Anyway, yeah. So I get it on a personal level, but that's right. That's right.
Ooh, that'll preach.
That was a good one. That one took my breath away once at a church. Yeah, you can forgive the offense, walk away from the relationship, and you're free of it, and it's left with the person who has offended, you know? Because the truth is, a Christian who has an active relationship with God, who's walking closely to Him, who is working on their walk, doesn't get offended. I don't get offended because I don't have any room for offense in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, plus I'm a consultant. One of my jobs is I consult, and when you're a consultant, you don't get to get offended. You're wrong. You're the one who did everything wrong. That's my job as a consultant. I take blame for whatever happens. So you learn, you know what I'm saying? Like you become well acquainted with, it's okay. I'm not offended. You express how you feel. I'll tell you how I feel. We can move on. You know, no big deal. And the truth is, what Allie said, I don't have to have a relationship with people who are ugly. And I don't. I pray for them. If they entered my home and were in need or in crisis, I would love them and say, oh my gosh, how can I help you? What can I do? But I don't have relationships with them. So remember, when you're dealing with people, that if you have planted things in the ground in your relationship and your walk with God, if you've got seeds in the ground and you're asking God to grow you and you're asking God to move you further along, get closer to Him, know more about Him, have your walk be stronger, if you want those things, then there's going to come a storm and there's going to be rain. Okay? Because rain has to come to precipitate growth. So I just want to make sure that you're aware that judgment, opening the door to critical thoughts, judgment, your mind being affected by those things, that's going to keep that process stalled, because you've got to go through steps to get where He's trying to get you. Okay? So just remember to not judge so that you don't bring yourself up to a high and lofty place. It tells us to read Matthew 7, 3 through 5. 7, 3 through 5 says, and why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye, when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite, first get rid of the log in your own eye, and then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. Why does the devil love to keep us busy mentally judging the faults of others? This is easy. And at this point of this chat, I'm sure we all understand that if we're focused on others, we are certainly not focused on. That's right. We're not focused on us. That's right. If you are constantly picking specks out of somebody else's eye, you are not paying attention to the things you're doing. And it is very, very important to hold yourself accountable before God. And you have got to make, that needs to be so paramount in your walk. I have had very broken relationships in my life that I grieved for, that I cried out to God and asked Him to restore with family members. And I mean, for years, I asked God for restoration in these relationships. And in the end, part of what restored this relationship was me coming before this person and saying, whatever's wrong, I'll be sorry for it. If somebody has to say sorry, I'll say it. Because that's how much you mean to me. That's that. I'll do it. I'll say I'm sorry, even if I didn't do it wrong. It's fine. It can all be my fault if it means we can move forward. And introspectively, what looking at myself and taking a self inventory did was tell me that it didn't matter to me. The grievances that I had no longer mattered. What mattered to me was that relationship meant something to me. And so I was going to do whatever I had to do because I'm willing to be sorry. And in this particular relationship, kids were involved, like nieces, nephews. And so I'm like, if I got to be sorry, then I'm going to be sorry. That's fine. I'll be sorry. I'll be the one who did it wrong. And we'll just, whatever it is, I'll say I'm sorry and I'll be sorry for it. And it changed things because somehow that feeling of being wronged had happened for that person. And hearing me say that I'd be sorry for it, even though I had no idea what I needed to be sorry for, I had no idea what I'd done, and I didn't feel like I'd done anything, that was somehow enough. And so it made a way for an opening. So when you're walking with God and you get to this point where you can look at yourself and say, look, I know I've made some screwed up choices. I know I've done some things that I shouldn't have done. And God is working on me and He is showing me, and I am a work in progress. And when you can start picking your own logs out instead of looking for them in other people, when that starts happening, I'm going to tell you something. You will start getting things you've prayed for some years because you're actively working on you. Because this is something that's not going to be popular. You may never come back to my Bible study again when I tell you this, but it's true. And most of the time, you're probably the problem. That's just the truth. Because I got in my own way a lot. Like I would beg God for something and then get in my own way while He was trying to do it. Oh, Lord, take me where my trust is without borders. And then I get kicked out of 3 houses because I can't pay the rent. And I'm like, okay, God, where are you at? Well, honey, you said trust without borders. Oh, that's what that means. You mean I have to trust you to pay the rent? Oh, well, I just wanted to find a job that I could secure and I could know that I know that I know that I know. I didn't want to just, go consulting ministries around the U.S. I didn't think I was going to be doing that, God. That's a little scary. That income's not very secure. Meanwhile, He's like, did you want what you asked me for? I'm a little confused. So just know sometimes you're the problem. So I think if you learn to be introspective in your walk with God, I'm not telling you to beat yourself up. I'm not telling you that you're always wrong. I'm not telling you that you are the reason everything is wrong in your life. And if you are in a bad relationship with a narcissist, in a friendship, relationship, intimacy, whatever level, get out of that relationship and get away from that person. Please know that I'm not contributing to any mental health issue when I say this. Sometimes we get in our own way in our walk with God. Ask God to reveal to you if you're doing that. Me personally, it's a problem. Not because I think I'm as good as God, but because, sometimes I need an answer or a roadmap. And I forget that I don't get those. So the devil loves to keep us busy judging others because that means we can't work on ourselves. I'll tell you a little lie that I was told in my childhood that can really destroy you if you're not careful. I was told growing up a lot that if it was too good to be true, it usually is. That's a lie. It's a lie that destroys hope. Because sometimes things are too good to be true, and they really are. Because God is capable of miracles, okay? So, just a little tidbit. Don't judge everything through things that you were taught just because the old people in your family said them. How is a judgmental mind an offshoot of a negative mind? How are they connected? Do we judge people by saying positive things about them? By pointing out positives? Not usually. So judgments are typically negative in nature. That's right. So because they open the doorway to negativity, that is how it creates a negative space in your mind. It's very possible that we make excuses for our own behavior, but when someone else does the same thing we do, we are often merciless. Doing unto others as we want them to do unto us is a good life principle that will prevent a lot of judgment and criticism if followed. That's right, a positive mind does praise others. A judgmental mind is an offshoot of a negative mind, thinking about what is wrong with an individual instead of what is right. Be positive and not negative. Others will benefit, but you will benefit more than anyone. What is your answer for a judgmental, critical, or suspicious mind? How do you answer a judgmental, critical, or suspicious mind? What is the only good answer? That's what I should say. I believe the only acceptable or good answer is love. Because if you're loving, you have no time to judge. If you are loving somebody, you are way too busy loving them to judge them. And even when they judge you, I'll be honest, when you're loving somebody, most of the time they ain't judging you because you're loving them. I say this at work all the time. I'm known at my day job as being just very kind. Every once in a while, I send out a little encouraging text to everybody and say, "Hey, I hope you're having a good day. God bless you." Just because I want to encourage others, right? It's just kind of my personality. When you call my department, if you get to speak to me, like I'm just known as being the nice person, right? So if I do something wrong, people are pretty forgiving. Like if I mess up, they're forgiving. And it happens because I'm human. But if I have a bad attitude or I'm kind of crass and hard to deal with and I'm not super loving and I'm not kind, when I do something wrong, they get angry and they're ugly and they're like, "Hey, she did something wrong." So, one thing I've learned over the years is that my kindness typically evokes kindness back to me. So, it's just easier for me. I'd rather love because love begets love. What does it mean to have a balanced attitude? My answer for this was do not put yourself or your family in danger to love someone, but when it would do those things, you still don't judge them. It isn't what you say, but how you say it. Yeah, agreed. What was Jesus's attitude towards his relationship with others? What do we see him exhibit in his walk on the earth? I think he loved them, forgiveness and love. Yep. He remembered they were human and he was God. He didn't allow the good of humanity to make him forget the bad, but he chose to love them in spite of their humanity. Kindness was a big thing. He showed kindness even in the face of Judas, right? Like even in the face of someone who betrayed him. Why do we need balance in human relationship? Do you think everyone you deal with every day is working on their relationship with Christ like the 10 people who are in this room tonight? Exactly. That's why you need balance. Because the devil has more influence in some people's lives, and that can hurt you. I want to be real clear when I say the devil, the world, the work of the world, the enemy. We live in a fallen world. The work of the enemy is kind of always around. And so it's important to remember that. What is the difference between suspicion and discernment? This is good. It's good to know this.
I think discernment is, I can't think of the word. It's more prevalent.
It feels stronger.
It feels stronger
than suspicion.
It's like, to me, discernment is spot on.
Okay.
It's like, do this or you're,
Mm-hmm. So the major difference, discernment is from God. That's right. The major difference is that suspicion comes from the devil, and it's going to always sow negativity. Discernment is inherently positive. That's the honest to good. Seeing good and bad is a gift of the Spirit. That's discernment. You can see good and bad, but still be able to see the good. Absolutely, discernment is not based on imagination in any way.
That's pretty good. I've never heard that before. That discernment's not from imagination.
It's not.
That's pretty.
It's like no one is all good or all bad. I don't per se know everything. I don't profess to know everything. I would say that if I wondered or was worried or concerned about someone and had concerns about were they good or bad or could I trust this, my first thing I would do is take it to God and ask him to give me discernment about it. And until I felt sure, I would operate with caution, around that part. Like, I say this because I was a childhood victim of sexual abuse. So it always comes to my mind. Like, the first thing I think of is I would protect, right? Like, so I would pray for discernment when I don't know. And then I would, proceed with caution until I felt sure, if that makes sense. Absolutely. And it takes maturity in the word to discern. I agree with that. I think the most poignant thing that happened to me when I was doing this lesson was to understand the distinction of suspicion does always come in a negative form, and discernment either presents positively or has a positive outcome. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that was so like ding for me when I was doing this. Like, oh, because suspicion is never positive. Mm-mm. It's always like, what?
Even the word suspicious, to me,
sus. Yeah.
Is,
Yeah. Agreed. And that's what I'm saying. And that's another thing that I think is something you can think about. When you see our culture, the culture of the world take something and make it trendy, be wary. When they make things trendy, I think it tends to mean that there's something in it for the world. And I'm please don't take that as I think all things are bad, because I don't. But it just made me think that when he said it.
Yeah. You know what's bad?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's bad?
What's bad?
That Leilani just showed up.
I know. She'll have to go watch it. Trendy means overpriced. Yeah, it does. Okay. Hi, Leilani. Sorry you got here later, because I did have this scheduled later. She's like, well, I looked at the schedule. But what does true spiritual discernment provoke? The fruits of the Spirit: love, grace, kindness, empathy,
positivity.
The desperation to help a person love themselves, humility. Discernment, and I say this with kindness, most of the time, discernment does not make you want to go run to the mountaintops and shout. Most of the time, discernment's like, really? Really, I gotta say that?
Yeah.
Really? Like, what? Most of the time, it's pushing you a little all out of your comfort zone. Not all the time, but most of the time. Always place your ultimate trust in the Lord. Doing so will open the door for the Holy Spirit to let you know when you're crossing over the line of balance. Your actions will never change. It is easier to be negative. Absolutely. Your actions will never change until your mind changes. Suspicion comes out of the unrenewed mind. Discernment comes out of a renewed spirit. Stay alert. Watch out for the enemy. He prowls around like a roaring lion looking for something to devour. This note in here from when I did this lesson the first time says that while I was working on this chapter, I got an email that said, rewards for opinions. Boy, that devil never ceases. Let me tell you something. There is nobody who will give me a reward for my opinion. Not in all reality. So, that is what I have on a judgmental, critical, suspicious mind. Does anybody else have any takeaways? If you are here for the first time tonight, this is the book that we have been talking about. Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Meyer, if you want to get a screenshot. I think in my bin I have a catch-up kit. We will print out this workbook for you if you purchase a catch-up kit and send it to you. We purchased the license to do that.
We have to go to our...
Well, the book is free online. You can go type it in and get a free copy to read. You'd have to read it on like your phone or computer, but you get a free copy to read. I come on here and I do this because I think it's a good opportunity to talk about things that are important. And mostly because I had a group of people who came to me and said, hey, would you do this? And I said, sure, why not? We elected to do the Battlefield of the Mind. And I'm sure once it's done, which we're about halfway. But once this one's done, we will start a new something.
We did one the first.
We did a different one the first time, yeah. So, yeah. I'm really, really grateful if tonight was your first time here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We also have a whole channel where we sell things. We have a shop full of bags. We make bags. I'm currently liquidating a bead business. We're doing that on Wednesday nights and maybe some on the weekends. I also participate in raid trains. Love for you to bookmark my shows, but it's not a requirement of coming to Bible study. If you never do anything but come to this, that's okay too. We don't mind. But we are really glad you're here, and we hope that you enjoy the time we spend together. And if you need help or prayer, please send us a message. We're always willing to help or pray in any way we can. I hope that you guys have a wonderful Thursday evening. I'm going to watch my nephew play baseball in a tournament, and hopefully he wins.
We're still in the winner's bracket.
Yep, we're still on the winner's bracket. We haven't been bumped down to the loser bracket yet, so we're kind of excited about that. I really do appreciate y'all coming in, and if you were new tonight, thank you, because it was a lot of new faces. Yeah, Dekami, thank you for being here. I go back after every show and follow everybody who followed us, so I will definitely follow you guys. I appreciate y'all. I will find somebody to raid, and I will raid out. Grana, thank you for coming, hun. I appreciate you. I know I've seen you in fabric shows before, and I really hope you can come back.
I think that's Amy's Vintage.
Oh, is it Amy?
Amy's Vintage Attic.
Oh, my bad.
That's what her picture is.
Nicole, thank you for being here. Jerry, if you're still here, thank you. And Tina, thank you. All right, guys, I've got sewing to do and fabric to sort from the quilt shop, because I made a little quilt shop run today. Oh, eventful occasions. Thank you so much. Also, we stream to YouTube. So these are available on YouTube. We have the same name, Broken by Design Studio, on YouTube, so you can catch them over there if you've missed them and you want to get caught up. So that's another thing. You can go back and watch the previous ones. I'm going to put them in a playlist. I haven't done that yet, but I need to go do that. So I'll work on getting that done too. But let me see who's on, and I'll see if we can't get a raid.
I'll check it every day to see, or every time we do a Bible study to see if there's any bad juju going on over there.
Let's go see Bubba's Finds. They're doing fabric tonight. I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you so much. Follow each other, and until we meet again, have a wonderful evening. God bless.